and the companion or this group from Yemen said that, Ya Rasulullah, we missed part of it and we were unable to retain another part of it. So can you please get someone to write it down for us? So the Prophet ﷺ sent this group of people from Yemen and said, go to the companions and tell them that Muhammad has told them to write it down for you. Now 2 points are established over here. Point number 1, the companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum were known by the Prophet ﷺ to preserve everything the Prophet ﷺ said, word for word. And it was at such a degree that the Prophet ﷺ approved of their memories, and thus the Prophet ﷺ resorted to them as well. Point number 1, that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ preserved and memorized everything. Point number 2, the Prophet ﷺ himself is commanding this group of people from Yemen, go to the companions and have them write it down for you. And this is how we received, the khutbatul wida', that the farewell pilgrimage that a lot of us have hanging in our houses, this is how it came. That it was written down by these people and preserved, and thus it was sent forth. Point number 4 is the statement of Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that he said, secure knowledge by writing it. That we see Anas ibn Malik, the servant of the Prophet ﷺ, and likewise another noble companion, that he is saying that secure knowledge by writing it. And as we know, that the way of the believers is that when they encourage someone else to do something, they firstly do it themselves. This is the way of the believers. So if Anas ibn Malik is telling people that write down knowledge in order to secure it, does it not make more sense that Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu actually wrote down what the Prophet ﷺ said? Indeed it does. So now, these are just 4 ways from the explicit text that we see. But now we will use our logic in some ways to prove how the Sunnah was also preserved during the time of the companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum. The first companion that we will speak about is Abdullah ibn Abbas. It is narrated about him that he was a companion who was illustrious and famous for his knowledge. And this is due to the dua that Allah's Messenger ﷺ made for him. Allahumma faqihhu fi ad-din wa 'allimhu at-ta'wil. That, O Allah, grant him understanding of the religion and teach him at-ta'wil, meaning the understanding of the Quran. And then likewise Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma was asked, Ya Abu al-Abbas, Ya Abu al-Abbas, how did you get so much knowledge? To which he replied with the beautiful statements. He said, بِلِسَانٍ سُؤُولٍ وَقَلْبٍ عُقُولٍ وَجَسَدٍ غَيْرُ مَلُولٍ. That I retained this knowledge and I learned all this knowledge by a tongue that likes to ask questions, and a heart that is intelligent, meaning that I have the ability to understand and I have the ability to calculate and to perceive. And then lastly, my body does not get fed up of seeking knowledge. So these 3 things were the response that Ibn Abbas gave to when he was asked how he became such a great scholar. By asking questions, and then by having an intelligent mind that can understand, and thirdly, that he never got fed up of seeking knowledge. So this having been, he said, بِلِسَانٍ سُؤُولٍ. سؤول with a waw, with a dhamma. بالضمة. سؤول. بلسان سؤول وقلب عقول وجسد غير ملول. وجسد غير ملول. So Ibn Abbas, he said that I became an alim, or I became a scholar by asking questions, by understanding, and by making sure that I never got fed up of seeking knowledge. Actually, what the brother mentioned might be correct. Su'ul might be more accurate and appropriate. So it's one of the 2, either Fatha or Al-Dhamma. But we'll write it down in English in any case, and inshallah we can look it up.
الناس هقول وعقول وغير ملول.
Okay. So the brother is pretty confident, but inshallah ta'ala we will look it up. So it's either with a fatha or a dhamma. In any case, Anas ibn Malik, Abdullah ibn Abbas, this was his scenario. He loved knowledge and he would seek it all the time. Such that it was narrated about him that even if one incident occurred, he would ask 30 different companions about this scenario to make sure he would get all the details. So Abdullah ibn Abbas, it seems that at times he would write down that which he heard and that which he recorded and that which he witnessed. And this is due to the fact that he would encourage his students, the likes of Ali bin Abdullah ibn Abbas, meaning his son, and the likes of Amr ibn Dinar, and the likes of Ibn Abi Mulaykah and Ikrimah and Mujahid. He would tell them at times, go copy this out of my book. That meaning that Ibn Abbas, he started to preserve his narrations. And he would tell his students, go copy this out of my book. And similar narrations are narrated from Abdullah ibn Umar and Anas ibn Malik. Meaning that they would each tell their students that go and copy such and such out of my books. So these three companions, Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar and Anas ibn Malik, they all wrote down that which they witnessed and which they heard, meaning the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And an interesting example, and getting back to Abu Hurairah over here, an interesting scenario that actually took place was, as we mentioned, the statement of Sahih al-Bukhari that Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that the only companion I know that knows more hadith than me is who? Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhuma. And he said the only reason this is because he used to write down the hadith. So now in another story that is mentioned in one of the books of Tadween al-Sunnah, or the evolution of the Sunnah, is that Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he grew older, in his older age, as is human nature, would for sometimes forget something. So he got into a discrepancy with one of his students, where his student said one day that I quoted this story from you. And then Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala said that you did not quote this story from me. And they got into an argument and into a fight, and to which Abu Hurairah eventually said that if you heard this from me, then it is with a surety in one of my books. Meaning that Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, after he made the statement of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he started down to record the hadith that he heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he likewise feared that it would be lost. Now the end result of this story was that the student was right, that he did hear this story from Abu Hurairah, and it was found in the books of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So we established from this point on that the Sunnah was written down during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And anyone who says other than that either doesn't know their facts, or they hide the facts after they have come to know of it. So now, one of the famous students of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu was Hammam ibn Munabbih. And his compilation of hadith is one of the most important compilations of hadith that we have. And this is for many reasons. That when we talk about the books of Abu Hurairah, and the books of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, and the books of Abdullah ibn Umar, and the books of Anas ibn Malik, we have no complete version of them. And for some of them we have lost in their totality, that we do not know of their existence. Whereas Hammam ibn Munabbih, the student of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, we have his Sahifa in complete order. Yet it is complete just as he narrated it from Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Manuscripts of it exist till this day. And one of the famous professors from Oxford and in other than those universities, by the name of Mustafa al-Adami, he has 4 famous books. One is Early Methodologies in the Sciences of Hadith, very important book to read. Then is Early Literature in the Sciences of Hadith, another very important book to read. Then he has a book on the sciences of the Quran. It's not actually the sciences, but more of the preservation of the Quran. And then his last hadith is a critical analysis of the Sahifa of Hammam ibn Munabbih. All of these 4 books are in English.